All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Knock and Talk show. I'm really excited to have our very first guest, Joe Massie, on board with us. He's coming to us live from sunny California, where he works at the LAPD. He is also a United States Navy veteran. So, Joe, welcome aboard.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for having me on your show. Number one is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, the first of many.
Yeah, I hope so. So the natural or the national average I heard is somewhere around 10 episodes. If you can make it to 11, then you're doing good. So here's to the first 10 and then many after that.
Sure, I can be on 10 more times after this too if you need me.
Sweet. All right. All right. Book him, would you? All right, great. Uh, so why don't you tell us a little bit about you? You can go back to your Navy days and get started. To sort of give us an elevator speech of who Joe is.
Well, I have a question for you. Is that
Sure.
a green screen behind you of your
Yeah,
porch?
yeah, it is. The
Okay,
door isn't really there.
okay. Because I just wanted to point out that this is a green screen. I just Googled alcoholic,
Oh,
and
sweet.
this is what came up. So
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah, that's why that's back there. Yeah, I am Joe Massie. I am a U.S. Navy veteran. Was in for roughly 6 years. Um, I was on a ship, USS Juno, out of Sasebo, Japan. If there's, I don't, maybe some of my old buddies will hear this, get all excited. Then I did some odd jobs, and then I joined the LAPD back in 2011, and I did probation at Central Division, which is the downtown area of LA. Spent a lot of time in Skid Row, and it's
Okay.
kind of famously known. I think all of your national listeners will immediately know that that's not only a '80s band, but also a major part of LA. And I
Both
got
with the
the
same hairdos, right?
say again.
Both with the same type of hairdos.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Lots of big hair and probably bugs in them. Who knows? Uh, went to Pacific Division, which again I got a nice dose of our transient population there, working a lot on Venice Beach, which has been in the news. Has that made the news in Atlanta late
Yes.
recently?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's hot topic for us. Oh yeah, well Larry Elder probably made national news because of that incident the other day. And then I've been associated with traffic, West Traffic and South Traffic divisions. I'm currently a motor, and that's where I am right now. I'm also currently running for office number 3 for our league, Los Angeles Police Protective League, for office number 3. Our election's coming up soon. Kind of a local issue, but if there's any LAPD listening, um, vote for me. And hopefully you listen to this and you hear something you like. So that's me in a nutshell. I'd also like to say I did my yoga earlier today. It put me in a bit of a meditative state. So I'm going to kind of boost my energy up with a little bit of
Look at
Raz
that.
energy drink. Uh,
Nice.
let's let's give this stuff a taste.
Yeah,
I've
nice
actually never had
plug.
one before. All right, here we go. This
I
is the zero sugar. What's the flavor? I think the flavor is actually South Beach.
It is South Beach. Yeah, after Miami.
All right, let's see what South Beach tastes like. Oh, so good.
You have won the spot. Yes, as
Actually,
the spokesperson.
it's it's not bad. It's actually surprisingly sweet for having no sugar. Anyway, I thought I'd do that. I also picked up Voodoo, Apollo, and Strawberry, which is the only appropriately named one. But anyway, hard to find in California, actually.
I'm very impressed you did find it. If there was a little more lag time between when, yeah, repsports.com, go to the products section, and when you check out, use checkout code PATRAZ for 15%. Yeah, if there was a little more time between when we booked the show yesterday and started filming today or recording today, I was actually going to send you some samples.
Oh,
So I appreciate you going out and digging those up. I actually haven't had strawberry. Um, to be honest, the South Beach isn't my favorite. Voodoo and Apollo are two of my favorites, but the sour gummy, that's what I typically have. So I use the Go packs, and that's what's in this right here is the sour gummy.
Oh, that's smart. So you put half sour gummy, half vodka, and then you're good to go for your podcast.
That's right. Yes, just moments before we hit the record button, there was a little mixology in the back.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Again, repsports.com. Check out code PATRAS for your 15%. Thanks, Joe, for the plug. We were going to get to that in about a couple minutes. So that's awesome. I appreciate that. So your time in the Navy, that was after 9/11. Of course, the 20-year anniversary was just this past weekend. Did that have any decision swaying of you joining the Navy?
9/11. I was a junior in high school. So I had about a year after 9/11 before I joined. I joined the Navy because my buddy joined the Navy. And I had one of those moments when I was like, 17, 18 years old, when I realized all of my high school friends are going to this thing called college. And I had zero preparation for that. And I saw, two paths coming at me fast, one of just kind of figuring out what community college was, or buy myself some more time and join the Navy. And so my buddy joined, and I'm glad he decided not to join the Army, because, I probably would have done that. No,
Right.
no offense to you Army people. But I'm happy I did the Navy thing. It was a pretty good time. But 9/11, it had an impact. I mean, I was proud. It made me a little bit more proud to join. Oh, you know what? Actually, I watched Black Hawk Down like 4 times in the theater.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was about that movie. It's not even, I mean, it's a good movie, but I don't know. It just rang something inside me that said, you got to join the military. And I was like, I'll compromise by joining the Navy.
That's a good compromise. Yeah. So Black Hawk Down made me extremely angry. Like nothing went right for those guys. Felt so bad. The whole movie just felt bad for them. Tom Sizemore was a badass in that movie. It's probably one of my favorite roles that he plays. Yeah, to jump in with a little bit about me real quick. I joined the Air Force about a year and a half after graduating high school. I did a year and a half of community college, and just didn't seem like it was right for me. So I had moved to Birmingham to live with my grandfather and help him after my grandmother passed away. And it took about 3 months of all of the romantic stories he told of the Second World War, and he was in the Army Air Corps, and all the cool things that he saw and the places he got to go and do, and while he was stationed in England. And that was, all it took for me. So I joined the Air Force. My dad was Army, but I decided to go the Air Force route. And I got out in 1999. And when 9/11 happened, I was actually in police officers survival Spanish the second day of it. And we went to 12-hour shifts, and I would go to class from 8 to 4, go home and grab like an hour nap, and go work 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on a shift for that whole week after 9/11 until things started to kind of come back down, and we realized there wasn't going to be any immediate follow-up attacks. So yeah, that was what my experience with 9/11 was, and it was a crazy time. We had just implemented a patrol rifle program at the department I was at, and I had bought the rifle, but hadn't been through the school yet. But it was still in my trunk because I wasn't, going to go up against a jihadist with just a pew pew without a pew 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 pew. Um, So anyway, it was pretty interesting. I don't really remember a whole lot of survival Spanish. I don't think I would survive with what with little Spanish I do know. I think Manos Arriba is about all I could. Alto, yeah, yeah. Stop. Put your hands up. That's pretty much it. Well, I can issue a ticket, a citation, as long as they were Manihar Muy Rapido. That's it. That's all I got.
Just yeah, sign a key. Or
Yes,
I
Firma.
know I don't get a firma a key.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were dealing with extra shifts and high stress situation, being already on the job when 9/11 happened. I was still sorting CDs at Best Buy, so I think it's
Okay.
pretty comparable.
It's slightly, yeah, slightly comparable, especially if somebody messed up and you're having to not only restock but re-alphabetize because some
Yeah,
6-year-old went running through with their hands down the shelf and knock them all over.
for some of us, that time period was the end of the world. For me, as long as things stayed in alphabetical order, my world was okay.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's the little things in life, right? It's the little things.
That's right. That's what you
Yeah.
focus on.
So, tell me, um, in your time at LAPD, and you mentioned the several different districts that you have worked at. What's been your favorite shift?
Oh, I always liked working when I was on patrol at Pacific. I like just working, and I still do the mid shift because you get to, first of all, like, I don't know how your agency is, but I mean everything you need as far as supplies or go visit a investigator or whatever. It's all banker hours. So
Hmm.
if you work the night shift, you're screwed. You're going to end up having to qual on your days off, or qualification for anyone who's not in the business or whatever is just going to shoot, um, whatever it may be. So I always thought it
Or
was just like soup. Yeah, court. Yeah, that's another good one. I just thought it was super annoying having to stress out about those kinds of things on your days off. So working mid watch, you get a little bit of both worlds. You get to come in when it's still daylight, be amongst normal working people, and then the nighttime falls, and that's usually when crazy stuff happens. So that's probably, I think, the dream position. But
you're in Atlanta,
yeah,
that's in my opinion, that was the worst shift, especially in the summertime. The humidity. You step outside of your house or your apartment to walk to your. Well, we had take home cars, so you step out to get into your car to go to roll call, and you're already drenched. I mean, your undershirt is just nasty drenched, and then you got to spend the entire shift that way. It just sucked. And inevitably in the summer here in Metro Atlanta, 4 out of your 6 days that you work, it's going to rain at 2:30 for about an hour.
uh,
And when that happens on a Friday, you've got wreck after wreck after wreck, probably 8 hours. I think one shift I spent uh, the full 9 hours doing nothing, just running up the interstate and working wreck after wreck after wreck, turn around and run down the interstate and handle 3 4 wrecks before turning and going back up. So that shift was not my favorite. The midnight shift was great for me. That's the one I enjoyed the most. The first couple hours was pretty wide open, pretty high speed. Every call required 2 officers, and then by about 3 o'clock, things started to slow down, and then you could go be really proactive if you wanted to be. And then those uh, officers we called rods, retired on duty, or road, retired on active duty, depending on which precinct you were at. But um, the road officers would go find a shady tree to go park underneath, and it was kind of call me if you need me, but don't need me. I don't want to hear any radio traffic. Um, but I enjoyed the midnight shift the best.
Yeah. Well, working at, I mean, the humidity must have been like 24/7 though. They're
Yes.
in ATL, right?
More or less,
Yeah.
yeah, but you didn't have the sun baking it on the midnight
Oh,
shift. It
sure.
started kinda it was still muggy, but it wasn't hot. It was kinda cooling off a little bit.
So, uh, sorry, train of thought. Yeah. Well, right now I'm working on mid-watch for motors. Our main thing is traffic calls. So, all we respond to, ev- I and that's another thing. Everyone says LA drivers are terrible, but if you're saying you have a 2:30 rain every day in the summertime and you have accident after accident, I guess it's not special to LA.
Oh,
Must
no,
be
Atlanta can't
no
drive.
one can no one can
No,
handle it.
no. No, no, it could be the clearest day, not a car on the road, and the first drop of rain is like a catalyst for 2 vehicles on the opposite sides of the county or the city to just find each other. It's like a polar magnet. They have to hit each other as soon as the rain hits. It's incredible.
Well, maybe half the population says, "Uh oh, it's raining. I better slow down." The other half says, "Uh oh, it's raining. I better speed up,
Yes.
get home," or whatever they're doing.
Right, right.
And then, yeah, it it ensues. It hits the fan. I
It
won't
does
say
hit
it,
the
but
fan,
it.
yeah. It, yes, and a lot of
Yeah,
it. Um,
right.
so, working motors, how often do you interact with chips?
Oh, the CHP.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, pretty regularly because we got. I mean, LA obviously. We got major freeways going between us, through us, around us. So they're always calling us and vice versa for whatever they find on our streets or we find on their freeway. So pretty often is the I guess I grew up in California. I grew up in like Sacramento area, but is chips or the CHP like pretty renowned out there outside of California? Do people like fawn over them like that?
Um, Me personally, only because of the '80s TV show. Um,
Right.
my dad worked for Motorola, and, there's a sequence in the intro that's about 3 seconds long where I can't remember if it's Ponch or, uh, a Baker, but one of the 2 of them, grab a Motorola radio, and you can see the Motorola emblem on it. So I just grew up loving the show because dad's radio was famous. It was on this TV show. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean that's and I did, and I loved the show as a kid too because I mean who doesn't like police officers and motorcycles and high speed chases and crashes and all of the great special effects that were on that show. I think the movie that came out a couple years ago was awful. I didn't even finish it. It was
Oh,
not good at all, in my opinion. Not good at all. Didn't do homage at all to the original Chips.
well, the good news is, okay, if you come out and visit Southern California, just hang out at, there's a gas station. It's like somewhere in Chatsworth, and you'll run into Eric Estrada. He's always there.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
and I imagine if you just hang out there long enough, maybe Dax Shepard will show up, and you can tell him what you think about his movie.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind, especially if Eric Estrada is there taking a break from the Latin soap operas, and hanging out there.
Yeah, I was. My partner and I were literally we're driving through the valley one day, and we just like turn. We look. Oh, oh, there's Eric Estrada. And we just pulled over. Yeah, he's actually he's from what I've seen and heard, and how cool he was with us that day. He's very pro cop. Um,
That's awesome.
nice person. Yeah, yeah. And then I don't know anything about Dax Shepard, so but I did think it was neat that they filmed a bunch of that movie in Long Beach, even though, well, I guess it was set just generically in Southern California. But if you look, a lot of the chase scenes, you can see like I live in Long Beach, so you
Okay.
can see a lot of our convention center area and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
So They keep our roads in good condition because we have a Grand Prix every year. I would like to believe that the city would repair them anyway, but there's always a nice financial incentive to keep everything nice and clean. So we get a lot of movies shot down here with like chase scenes and stuff.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Atlanta is the new Hollywood apparently, so we get a lot of movies
Yeah.
made here. Fast and the Furious, one of them. I don't remember if it was Fast and Furious 92 or 107, but one of them was filmed downtown Atlanta, not far from where I used to live, in an old warehouse district. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
Fast and the Furious 107. That was a good one.
yeah, right. It was a lot like number 4, and just it was real sad that The Rock didn't make it through that one. Real sad. Anyway, yeah. So go ahead.
I was gonna just, you mentioning the Hollywood ATL thing reminds me of one of my worst losses in court, with a lady I pulled over for using her cell phone, and she had it up to her ear and everything, and I go through the routine of, I stopped you for your cell phone, and she tells me, oh, no, it's a prop phone. And I was like, well, can you show that to me? She was like, no. I was like, okay. And then we go to court, and she tells the judge the same thing. It was a prop phone. The judge says, well, did you bring the prop to court today? And she says, no. And he says, well, not guilty. I was like, what are you? She says she was rehearsing her lines on her prop cell phone while driving, and the judge believed her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. His name wasn't Joe, was it? Like, like Let Him Go, Joe. We had one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
His name was really Joe. Yeah. And he would let them all go. He said, bring him to traffic court and always side with his constituents, if you will.
Well, God bless them. We got to have those people in there too, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. The yin and the yang, right? Well, the Georgia's got our own state police. In fact, it's the Georgia State Police, GSP. But that's not what GSP actually stands for. If you ask them, it stands for God's Special Police. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, most agencies have a really good working relationship with GSP. They handle all the fatality investigations for smaller agencies that don't have AIU investigators. And I really, honestly, I haven't ever met a trooper that I didn't like. And when I was in K9, I trained with them. Great guys and gals, but yeah, they carry that air about them always with the campaign hat. As soon as they get out of the car, yeah, God's Special Police.
The thin brim. I don't know, smoke. What do you call that?
Yeah, it's Smoking the Bandit.
Smoking the Bandit. Yeah.
The old campaign hat, from basic, where they used to browbeat you.
Yes.
I don't know if you did that in the Navy, but we had.
Oh no, the Navy was a nice, gentle boot camp. It was a lot of hugs and you're doing a great job. No, I'm just kidding. it was yeah, it's moments.
Yeah, well, I mean, sort of the Air Force not academy, but the Air Force basic. When I chose to go in the Air Force, it came down to this: the Marine Corps was, I think, a 12-week basic, and the Army and the Navy were I think 10 weeks or 8 weeks, and the Air Force was only 6 weeks. I was like, I can do anything for 6 weeks. So that was literally the final decision maker as to why I joined the Air Force over the other branches.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my first day of basic, I got my tray and I'm going through the chow line, and it was breakfast time, and it's my turn to order food, and the cook looks at me and he says, so how do you want your eggs, Airman? And I kind of looked around. I was like, scrambled with cheese? Because that's how Mom always made them for me, scramble them with some cheese. And he said, you got it. And he threw a little cheese on top of it and put it on my plate. And I had scrambled eggs and cheese my very first day of basic.
Yeah. Well, you see, the problem with going in the Air Force is you're already the elites, okay, or so you think. And but the
Yeah.
advantage that the rest of us had, okay, and I'm not saying I had it that bad, but I've seen Marine barracks, and so there is a bottom,
There
and
is a bottom.
I'm
Yes.
yeah, and I'd say Navy is somewhere slightly above Army, and I'm right now. Please, anyone who's listening, I'm talking in terms of just creature comforts, not like you're all amazing people, but as far as creature comforts go, yeah, I remember I got stuck in Okinawa waiting for my ship to come back, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are gonna have to be put up in Air Force barracks," and they kind of had like this like tone of like, "Sorry," you know. It was the nicest hotel I think I've ever stayed in.
Right.
Our
Yeah.
Air Force barracks were, I mean, we had room service, we had cleaning, housekeeping,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I
That's
was
what
like, I messed
training was
up.
like. Yeah, that was basic training. They come in, make the beds for us, fold our
I
clothes.
believe you.
Yeah,
I believe you right now.
didn't happen. Didn't happen. No, not until we got to tech school. Just kidding. Didn't happen there
Oh, I was gonna
either.
say, I still believe you.
All right. So, how often does it rain out there in sunny Cali?
I don't know what this thing is that you're calling rain.
Okay.
Um,
So, one of the questions that I had, kind of a uh, impromptu question, is here it rains a lot, obviously, and the rain jackets. If you wear the whole rain slick, you look like an armed banana because they're
yeah.
bright yellow. Some of us wouldn't wear the pants, just mainly because it was too difficult to get them over the boots. But there were two types of guys, and I guess some of the women probably did this too. You either had tuckers or non-tuckers when it came to the jacket. So I was going to ask if you were a tucker or a non-tucker. I couldn't stand the jacket hanging over the gun belt. Like I had to tuck it in so I get to the handcuffs,
Oh,
ass baton, and instead of having there was two openings on the sides, one for your radio and one for the gun, and that was it. And I couldn't. I was a tucker.
yeah.
Rain jacket.
Uh, Sorry. I think in all my time, I've never worn um, rain gear. It rains right around. We're like in a drought. So like this year in particular, I think it's rained like twice. And sorry to not. I mean, I'm probably a tucker in other ways. I don't know, but not in a rain jacket kind of way. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sorry. Let me compose myself. All right,
Just
I'm
name
back.
other things. Do you tuck this? Do you tuck that?
No, 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 no. Moving on. Moving on. So, I have some notes here, and it says here that big X Files fan.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was X Files everything. In fact, I never really thought about it until your questionnaire, but probably why I'd join law enforcement. You know,
In California.
I think as a kid, I thought, okay, like I've never been like a gun person. I've never desired to obviously shoot anybody, but I think I recognized at a young age that Dana Scully could empty her entire magazine into the monster of the week and there was like zero paperwork. So I
Yeah.
was like, that seems like the job for me because I don't like paperwork.
Wouldn't this be an awesome
So,
job if it wasn't for the paperwork?
oh Jesus. I mean, there would be the streets would be crime free.
Right? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I mean, if you could just, yeah, arrest, somebody and then just go right back out and do it again over and over again for, whatever your shift is, um, we would, we would really be a lot more, better off. That's not really a funny comment. It's more of a real state of affairs,
It
but,
is. Yeah.
I'm
No,
trying to make this
seriously.
funny, but,
Yeah. Yeah. No, but it would be.
nothing.
It would be the perfect job. Um, for the right people. But it would be the perfect job if it wasn't for all the paperwork.
Yeah.
Way too
Well, I
much.
imagine, I just imagine like our command staff, like I mean, any command staff, not just LAPD, but I'm sure every agency's got this problem where they just sit around in a circle and they're like, well, what should we do today? I don't know. Come up with a new form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like a
Let's
fun idea.
Let's draft a memo for a memo. That's what
And
we.
how will we make the officers do it? Make them shall do it. Yeah, just throw the word shall all over it,
That's right.
and bam, somebody got promoted.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I don't think that is limited to just your geographic location. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty much. I would almost worldwide. Although I feel like there's some police departments in other countries that don't have paperwork. But anyway, moving on. So
Yeah.
I wasn't a big X Files fan. I mean, I knew who Scully and Mulder were. I knew they were always chasing the alien or proof of aliens. Did they ever find proof of alien life form?
Sure, we'll get into the weeds. The movie, Fight the Future. There's the scene toward the end of the film where the whole thing was okay. The whole thing. We'll get. This is going to be the X Files podcast right now. Mulder. Mulder always.
Did I just open up Pandora's box?
Yeah, it's fine. Hopefully, listeners enjoy hearing about '90s TV shows. But Mulder always believed, and Scully was always, she was like supposed to be the skeptic. And so she was hired to be the skeptic, assigned to be the skeptic. So finally in the movie, it was like a big deal. Like Scully finally looks up and actually sees the alien ship like flying away. And so it was like, finally, she can't, you know, like our politicians like to pretend that crime's not happening. She had to do the thing where she pretended the aliens didn't exist for like 6 seasons. And then, now she couldn't refute it. Although we do have politicians, and I know you don't want to get political, but I won't say their names or give examples. But we had one here in California where a senator got mugged, and she still wouldn't accept the crimes going up. It was
that's par for the course, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
but that's the only, no more politics. But yeah, Scully finally accepted that aliens were a real thing. Maybe Mulder wasn't full of crap the whole show so far.
Well, I never followed it, so I didn't know if they ever proved Roswell was a thing, if Area 51 was all about the aliens, or if it was just next to Area 52 and Area 50.
Oh yeah, they got into that. What was your show growing up? What got you into cop life?
Great question. So I guess Chips, really, and then the heaven forbid I mention this, Cops, the TV show.
Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah, they need to bring that back. I watched that before. It's been on like 20 plus years. I mean, it's been around. I remember when Fox. I'm going to date myself. I remember when Fox became a TV station, like when it actually became its own entity and started having TV shows. And Cops was one of the first ones that they put on the air. And I remember watching it as a kid, and then into high school, and then while I was in the Air Force. I mean, I wasn't a cop in the Air Force. I didn't join law enforcement until after I got out of the Air Force. But yeah, so that had a pretty big, I think, influence. Of course, there was also Inspector Gadget. Growing up, he had always had some pretty cool tools and things. But I guess it boils back down to Chips as a kid. I don't remember why we got to this. How did we get here?
Well, speaking of Inspector Gadget, the voice actor for that was on that show Get Smart. Did you watch that growing up?
No.
That was another cop. Well, he was a secret agent. That was another one. That was a big one for me that said maybe, I guess it's just that sort of desire of like solving mysteries and, I don't know, helping people as a kid, probably thought, well, police work, well, I guess when I got older, it probably had an influence on me as far as, but anyone who's watched Get Smart and knows who Maxwell Smart is, probably who know me know that it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Which, sorry, the reference isn't working for you, but maybe somebody will hear that and understand where I'm coming from.
There's an aha moment going on right now somewhere.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. So speaking of aha and all about you, have you earned any nicknames in your career? I've had a few.
Oh, nicknames. I mean, just anything that rhymes with Massie. I won't say it out loud, but you can
Yes.
guess. There you go. I don't know. Uh, I guess nothing. I mean, sorry. You know what? Honestly, there's probably some things, but I don't want to say them on your podcast.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
we'll leave it at that. What
Yeah.
what about what are yours?
Um, some of them I could go into from my Air Force days. I won't though, because my mom might be listening.
Right.
Yeah. So, but when I got into, well, let me back up. The camera definitely adds about 20 pounds, not just 10 pounds, but about 20 pounds.
Okay,
Uh,
we'll go with that.
yeah, please do. Um, in 1993, when I got out of high school, I weighed all of a buck 10, and I was like 5'5", maybe 5'6" if I had my Nike Air Max running shoes on. Uh, when I decided to join the Air Force in '95, they told me I had to gain 5 pounds to get in.
Wow.
So I did. And then fast forward 4 years, I got out of the Air Force at a buck 30. And I had grown like maybe another inch and a half. So I was like 5'6" and a half. And when I graduated the police academy in 19, or no, in 2000, spring of 2000, I was the smallest guy in our academy class, and they rushed our uniforms. Like for whatever reason, um, they didn't have our uniforms done in time. So I had to wear somebody else's uniform for the first like 3 weeks that I was in FTO, and the pants were too big, too long, um, and the shirt was too baggy. So I looked like, and as people pointed out, does your father know you're wearing his uniform? Do your parents know that you're out this late at night? Because I started working the graveyard shift. My first station, or my first assignment in FTO was the midnight shift. So they were all wondering, if I had snuck out with my dad's uniform on to go to the police station. Um, and then one of the first roll calls I was on, they were passing around a bolo of a missing kid. And this picture could have been like my elementary school picture that they were passing around. I mean, it was me a long time ago. And they looked at it, looked at me, and looked at it, and looked at me. And they're like, dude, does your mom know you're here? And then somebody said something about go to the store and grab a milk carton, see if he's pictures on the milk carton. Well, the jokes just started going from there. And then every call that week that we went on the graveyard shift, there was either a drunk naked female, a scantily clad female, or just an overly flirtatious drunk high female on almost every call that week. So the breast milk jokes started, and they went back to the milk carton. And then because I was so small, I couldn't be whole milk. I had to be 2% milk. So 2% stuck, and that's been my nickname over 4 different police departments. It has followed me in my career.
All right, 2%. All right.
Yeah.
Now the nation knows.
Now the entire nation knows the story behind 2%. Yeah. So I mean, they put phone books. They duct tape phone books and put in the driver's seat of my patrol car. To help me, see over the dash. One time they took one of the car seats from the precinct and put in the driver's seat to try to help me out along with a sippy cup.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, those guys love me.
It shows they love. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, so no nicknames, nothing that you earned.
Well, it,
Your,
it, well, your
first
story
year?
about the with the flyer reminds me. There was a flyer going around our station because basically this guy had made some threats toward the police, and so it did the exact same thing. It could, in my opinion, it looked nothing like me, but it was like it looked more like Mick Jagger if he had a severe crack addiction. But
So
you
you look
know,
like a crackhead McJagger?
if I was fortunate enough to be about 100 pounds lighter,
Okay.
I guess I might have looked like this guy. But so everyone said it was me. You know, I wrote my name all over it, and so I started telling people like, well, I do actually like to sleep in a van outside the Skateland rink next door, also. So they're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
It could be me. Who knows?
Well, okay then. All right.
Sometimes you just have to
Craziest.
embrace it.
Well, you do have to embrace it. Yes, I agree with that. Um, Otherwise, you're not going to be able to live it down. You know, you've got to. If you embrace it on your terms, then you take half of the fun away from them. You know.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. If you let your ego get in the way of, I mean, this is like a not funny comment here, but with this job, or maybe just in life in general, if you let things bug you like that, you make yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess maybe that's why nothing sticks for me. People come up with some joke or whatever, and I'll say, "Yep, that's me." Like I showed up to work my first day as a motor. My first day as a motor, I showed up wearing the wrong pants because I hadn't. Yeah, I hadn't received the you've seen them. They're the riding pants have got like the stripe down the side.
Mhm.
They look like the Marine bellhop uniform, kind of. Well, not colors wise, but like that stripe, whatever. And so I hadn't gotten them from the city yet because of, again, brand new, first day. And so I wore my regular pants, and so my nickname for a minute was straight legger. Yeah, not to be derogatory. It's not
Okay.
like some kind of slur.
No,
Straight legger
straight leg.
uh, is a term for people who don't ride motorcycles. So
Okay.
if you don't ride a motorcycle, you're a straight legger. And I was wearing straight legger pants. And so they tried to call me straight legger for a while. And I would just be like, yep, that's me. I'm straight legger. Like, so it's like, nice. He took the fun out of it because he's admitting to messing up. So yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of motors guys lined up for later on. Both of them were in my academy, so I'm gonna have to ask them about straight leggers.
Have you not heard that term before?
No, no, I was never a so
Oh,
I did just about everything in law enforcement you can do except for ride a motorcycle or ride a horse.
okay. So you're a straight legger.
I am. Yeah, I've never been on a motorcycle at all. I've been on four-wheelers and three-wheelers,
Hey,
but
it's fine. You know, if it's fine to be a straight legger, they find good jobs. They're equal in our society. They
I
have
appreciate
rights. They
the
can
moral
vote. They
support.
can vote now.
We
Straight
can.
leggers can vote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that was the latest amendment. Yeah, nice.
So, and good for you, honestly.
Oh, I'm going places. I mean, not right now. I'm still here, but I am going places
In straight leg fashion.
in straight leg fashion. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, riddle me this, Batman. What would happen if Jean-Luc Picard found himself face to face with Scully and Mulder?
That would be.
Now, I ask this because I also have a little note here
Mhm.
that you have a background in comedy improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
started doing improv comedy when I came on the job. A friend of mine said, "Do you want to take classes with me?" And I said, "Absolutely." And it's I honestly think it's like I think everybody should do it. At least some of the exercises and stuff because it just takes you out of your head and it's good. Have you ever done it yourself?
Only when I recite Michael Scott and his improv.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
know. Improv is always the butt of the joke, and rightly so. I mean, people who do improv are very into improv, and then
yes,
like the bubble around them is just like, oh my god.
yeah. Straight legger versus not straight legger.
Yeah. Actually, I thought about leading with this part in your show because I thought I'd just say, you know what, I'm just going to yes and everything you say, and I'm just going to lie for this entire interview. It'd probably be a lot more entertaining to hear me just make up facts as I go along. But
It might have been.
most people don't get that. Improv is just basically, well, not basically, but people like to call it like uh, a skill of lying. You're making things up as you go. But if okay, but getting back to your question, Jean-Luc Picard and Dana Scully and Fox Mulder meet each other.
Yeah, how
Well,
would that work?
it'd be either the most exciting episode of the X Files or the most dull episode of Star Trek. I think
The next
it
generation,
would
right?
just it'd be a lot of if yeah next gen it would be just a lot of talking, just a lot of let's sit down and discuss things, or it would be like the most action-packed monster of the week X Files episode, I think. Um,
So would the phasers
yeah,
be super stun?
the phasers. If it's in Scully's hand, absolutely not. She would definitely be vaporizing everything she could. I don't. If you didn't watch the show, but honestly,
Yeah.
anybody who's a big X Files fan knows when Scully pulled the trigger on her gun, she emptied the freaking clip. She never. Mulder, he would like he was like us. He would take the number of shots necessary to stop the threat. Scully was like, I'm killing this thing and I'm sending it back to where it came from with as many bullets as I can possible.
So
So
was she like stormtrooper accurate, or was she better? Like, did it take the
oh oh
entire
oh oh oh.
magazine to hit,
Oh,
or was
oh,
she
she was always
actually killing?
tendering. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
She's excellent marksmanship. I'm sure like if they have deleted scenes of that show somewhere, it's just her just shooting her gun.
That I might watch.
Hey,
You know,
yeah.
uh, there's a YouTube video floating around of Keanu Reeves doing some 3-gun competition, practicing for, I think, John Wick 3, and dude, he is pretty incredible with the 3-gun.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video. In fact, I know his one of his trainers was one of our officers, and I think she might be in her. I guess I shouldn't say anyone's name, but yeah, I did see that video, and yeah, he's a very impressive marksman. I mean, he's got all those headshots in John Wick. I mean, I'd like
Yeah.
to believe that they're not entirely fake.
Right? I wouldn't mess with his dog or his car because I wouldn't wanna find out.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny they built an entire franchise off of a dog killing and a car
Yeah.
theft.
Yeah. Yeah. Similar to, I feel like they should do another Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, you know what? Next time
Memphis
if
Reigns again.
honestly, if I'm back on the show, we got to come up with a list of movies and TV shows for us both to be aware of because I haven't seen either versions. There was like is Steve McQueen in the first one, and then the second one came out like in the '90s, right? With
We're moving on.
am I
Yeah,
okay?
we're
Sorry,
moving
I apologize. I'm sure
on.
anybody listening, some people are listening right now, and they're just like, "Oh, cool! I'm tuning in to hear a guy ramble on about TV shows he's never watched.
Yeah.
Cool."
Yeah. So your new nickname is gonna be either Siskel or Ebert, one of the 2.
All right, thank you. All right,
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up. 2 of them. Have you seen the TV show Bosch?
Oh, sorry. I watched the first episode and I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever watched.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask. I enjoyed the show, um, and getting back to cops. And the reason I watched Cops even after I got into law enforcement was watching all of the officer safety violations
Mm.
and some of the Fourth Amendment violations in that show. And like, no, you can't do that. I can't believe you're doing that with somebody filming it that you know is filming it, and two, your department signed off on that airing. Like, well, who okayed it? Anyway, so I enjoyed the comic relief of Cops. There were a lot of reminders of what not to do and why you don't do them on that show. Um, and fast forward now, go back to Bosch. I think I've known a couple of guys with that mentality and that attitude, but they all got fired, and one or two of them ended up indicted. So I was, if you had watched it and watched the whole series, I was going to ask you if you felt like that was a accurate representation of a precinct detective in the LAPD, and how long would Harry Bosch have actually lasted at the LAPD?
Well, he's like pretty like hardcore, right, on the show, like very
Yeah.
dedicated to to his cases or whatever.
Yes.
Well, look, let me put it this way. We have one of people I admire the most at one of our stations is a detective. He's an excellent detective. He knows policy, law, detective work very well. And when I go up to him with questions, the first thing he wants to do is tell me about the hotel he booked for his next trip to South America. And the last thing he wants to talk about is whatever the hell it is I'm bringing to him. So
Okay.
I think, yeah, you don't have to be the cliche psycho version of a detective to be good at your job, I guess is what I'm saying.
No,
And maybe the more well-rounded people are the ones who are going to solve the most cases.
sure, and I
Yeah.
get that. I get that. Yeah, I mean, I had a mentor that, or one of the old timers, as I call them, now that I might be considered that myself, but um, one of the old guys, you'd come to him with a question, and let's just, for instance, say, hey, Sarge, what do you know what time it is? And he would spend the next 45 minutes teaching you how to make a clock so that you don't ever
Mm.
have to come ask him what time it is again.
Oh, one of those types.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn a lot from him, you know, but you always knew that's the one time you get to ask that question. You don't get to ask that question again.
Well, I guess if you get another LAPD guy on here, ask him. I know a lot of guys watch Bosch. The show's actually filmed at Hollywood Station, which can make things kind of inconvenient for you if you're just trying to run in and drop off a report. And the parking lot's full of camera crew people. But
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I guess from an
yeah,
outsider, that's kind of for authenticity purposes. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was always a head scratcher. I guess they did end up rebuilding. I was told by somebody that they rebuilt like portions of the actual, well, to make it look like Hollywood Station on a set someplace. But I mean, I've been there a couple times when they've been filming inside, and I always thought that's kind of, I mean, it's kind of pointless because everyone has this idea like Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a good example of like that's not a real police station. Like whatever is going on in there, that maybe in like old school East Coast stations, maybe it's like that, but in LAPD, it's an office. There's nothing. I mean, it's cubicles. You could film it any place, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, for authenticity, I guess they wanted to make sure that they filmed it at the actual Hollywood station, and yeah. No, and then the other thing about the reason why I couldn't take that show was he took like evidence home with him, didn't he? In the first episode, like he took like a box of bones that they found at like Legion Park, and I just thought like, first of all, it's gross, and secondly, what are you doing? You can't take
Yeah,
evidence to your house. Like
yeah,
that's insane.
yeah. There's a couple of, and that's I guess the driving point behind the question. There were lots of those things, and I know it's got to be Hollywood. You've got to build the drama for the show. It's like Navy guys watching Top Gun. When I watch Iron Eagle and some of the cockpit scenes of the F-16 they were flying, because I worked on F-16s, I'm like, that's not what that looks like. That's not at all what that
Yeah.
looks like. So for those that are in whatever industry the show, TV show, movie is about, they're always going to be like, that's not true. You can't do that. But
Yeah.
for the general public, I thought now knowing that it's actually filmed on location is kind of neat, but I can certainly understand how that would be extremely inconvenient to drop off some paperwork and have to get around the circus.
Well, actually, my Navy experience day one was you're going to wear jeans and play volleyball shirtless in the sun while listening to Danger Zone. So there
On
are
repeat.
some things in movies that are accurate.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get to meet an Iceman or a Merlin or even a Goose before he dies? Because every time I watch that movie, Goose always dies the same. You would think he'd duck, like duck, duck, goose.
Yep. In real life, they have all those archetypes at every station, and yep, it's as tradition. It's a
As
Navy tradition.
Navy tradition started in the 80s.
That's right.
Nice. Nice. All right. Well, we in the Air Force are not as proud of Iron Eagle at all, because some 16-year-old isn't going to steal a multi-million-dollar jet and fly across the world and save his father while blowing up a third world country. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, you say that, and then you hear some. I don't know. LAPD, for example. A few years ago, you might have said cadets will never steal black and white and go on a joyride, and then hey, it happened.
I
Ooh.
guess anything's possible.
So yeah, some movie plot lines do happen in real life sometimes.
I'd watch that.
I would, and brought to you by Ray's.
And brought to you by Rays. I love the way you bring that back. That's great. So, speaking of drinks, Mr. Bartender, with your alcohol in the back,
Yeah,
are you a bourbon guy?
of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Well, I'm sure a lot of people found something during COVID that was a new hobby. For me, it was alcohol and line dancing. So the two actually go together, and
They
the
they
more you
do.
drink, the better you get at it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. If you learn to watermelon crawl.
no, I'll Google the crap out of that one
Yeah.
after our interview.
Yeah. Don't waste bourbon in the watermelon though. That's cheap vodka.
Oh, okay. It's
Yeah. Cheap vodka.
is this just putting liquor into a watermelon?
Yeah. So you drill out the core of the watermelon and then fill it in, and then you cork it back and you let it marinate, I guess is the right word to use. And then you
Oh,
cut open and you eat the watermelon, and then you get pretty drunk off the
you
watermelon. So then you're
feel the
crawling
effects.
back home, which is,
Oh,
and it's actually a country song.
okay.
Probably before your time. It's not the uh, country rap that or hip hop country that's out now. It's back when it was still twangy.
Yeah, it's click track country or nothing for me.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Well,
just kidding.
to each their own.
I'm just
To each their
joking.
own. In making an old fashioned, do you prefer a pre-prohibition or a post-prohibition old fashioned?
You know what? I've actually, gosh, I've done a lot of research on old fashions, and what's the difference between a pre and post prohibition? Is that the type of, yeah, what would be is it the fact that there's liquor in it or not, or
No, so it's all about the amount of fruit that you put in it.
mm,
And I'll let you. I guess I'll give you a homework assignment because you keep referring back to the next show that you're on. So I'm really hoping that I'm pre-booking a second show because this has been a lot of fun. So if that's the case, the next show you can actually whip up uh, whichever old fashioned that you decide you like most. But you got to do the research, find out which one you like
Yeah,
better.
I always like to put a twist on them. They're fun.
Yeah,
The
it can either be the easiest drink you'll ever make because it's really simple, or it can be
Yeah,
the most elaborate drink you ever make, just depending on what where you're taught. If you've gone through either basic bartending school or like a mixologist kind of school. Um, yeah. So how do you make them? Your favorite?
well, I mean, just I guess the standard is just sugar cube, bitters on it. I'll gosh, what's the word? Uh, I'll just use the layman's term. Smash a
Muddle.
orange peel, muddle. Thank you, muddle, muddle all that, and then ice. I usually remove the orange peel. Put the ice cube in, shot of whiskey or bourbon or rye. Um, I guess traditionally it's made with rye, but I mean, it just depends how sweet you want it. And then I keep trying the thing where you break the orange peel in half and it's supposed to flame up and do all that. And I have yet to be successful, but I'll try every time. And then, of course, throw a maraschino cherry on top. I have, you got to get the big ice cubes though,
Right.
the mold for the, there's a swanky bar here in Long Beach that always gives you like cubed ice. And it's like, I'm paying you, $15 for chunks of ice.
Yeah.
You just want to throw the drink down and storm out. But,
Or order a bourbon neat the second time.
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I usually make it old fashioned. Do you have a special recipe?
Um, my wife actually makes them better than I do. I do what I call a lazy fashion. Um, I don't like a whole lot of fruit. I don't want to chew my drink. So I'll just put in the bitters and I'll use simple syrup most time. If I'm using sugar, it'd be like a sugar in the raw. It's not white bleached sugar. So if I'm going to muddle something, then I'll use the powdered sugar in the raw. But most of the time, it's the simple syrup. So splash the bitters, splash of the simple syrup, and then I like I like to pour 2 fingers of bourbon, and then most of the time I'll do it without ice, unless I'm going to go sit out on the front porch, and then to cool it down, I'll throw in the big cube or a big. I actually have a Darth or a uh, Death Star ice mold
Oh yeah,
that I
I've seen
use.
those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So yeah, that's how I do it. I call it a lazy fashion because I don't do any muddling. I don't use any fruits. I may take a dirty cherry and just put it on top of the ice cube or down in the drink if I'm not using the ice. My wife, however, goes through the motions of muddling the orange peel with the sugar and a little bit of the cherry juice, and she'll put a cherry and muddle it all in there. And then after she's done mixing all the fluids, she'll take another orange peel, curl it, twist it,
Yeah.
make it open, and then torch the edges of it to release the aroma of the orange, and rub it around the rim of the glass, and then float it on top as a garnish. So she puts a
So she's
lot
a
of work into it. I don't.
yeah,
I
she's a purist.
yes, yeah, and I just want to drink it. Really.
Yeah, it can be time consuming. I actually, a funny story on that. I mean, poker night over at my buddy's house is always fun, but I don't want to be sitting there making drinks all night. But I'm also not going to drink garbage whiskey and coke. So I take
Yeah.
over all the ingredients for um, usually old fashions and Manhattans. And what I did was, well, I'll just tell you this. At the end of the night, my buddy turns to me and says, "Did you teach my 14-year-old son how to make old fashions and Manhattans?" I said, "Yeah."
Yeah. I mean, gotta learn
Who?
sometime, right?
I mean, he's learning a new skill.
Right. Yeah. You don't want them drinking, just vodka or gin and juice. You want some sophistication behind it.
That's right. I
Nothing
mean, if
wrong
he's
with
going
gin
to
and
sneak
juice.
out, if he's going to sneak out when he's 18 or whatever and show up, he can impress his friends, who are all getting smashed on hooch. He'll have something a little more fancy. I like
That's
that.
yeah.
I like the idea of that anyway.
Side note, not condoning this at all.
Underage drinking is terrible.
Terrible.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
And
it.
that 14-year-old, we had an agreement. He's not allowed to drink anything.
Oh, good for him. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's all clear.
Just disclaimer. We all got to say that stuff.
That's right. So speaking of hashtags, good little segue. You earlier mentioned your candidacy for the Police Officers League. Tell us what that is, what you're trying to do, and if elected, what you would bring to the table. Look at that. Ready with the promo.
Right. Yeah. Scan that QR code if you're
Still hold it.
If you're a friend of the LAPD league.
Okay.
But just go to my website, joemassie.com. If you need to learn some more about me, if you're on the fence about who to vote for, this is just to my LAPD family. Just my top priorities are communication. Some people don't feel that they know what our league is doing, or they feel that the league isn't doing what they want. And I think that if I'm made a director, and even as a delegate today, please bring me any criticisms or questions you have. I can relay them to the directors. That information needs to get to them, and they need to be considering it wholeheartedly. So that's one of my first stances. The other one is working conditions. This again, no criticism of our department, but there are some things we can improve there in terms of just equipment and supplies. And my mission statement, or my mission is always with our mission statement, which is to vigilantly promote and protect our legal rights, compensation, and wages and benefits. So that was not funny, the last little bit, but it is important for them to understand why I'm running. So contact me if you have any questions, and I'll just leave it at that.
So real quick, the league, I'm assuming it's similar to a union?
Yeah.
That it protects the officers?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Good. joemassie.com, correct?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I spent quite a bit of time on that website. So just for the sake of that, please go to the website so I can justify the money I spent on it.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Even if it's just to download some pictures, just to deface and send memes, I don't care. Just go get my engagement up, just so I can feel better about my credit card statement.
Get that organic growth, right? That's
Yeah.
the important part there. Yeah. Outstanding. All right. joemassie.com and give it a look over. And you mentioned something about the LAPD wives. What's
wives of the Los Angeles Police Department. Okay. This is just for our LAPD and LASD friends who are listening. The wives group is fresh. It's a new nonprofit, and I don't have. They are on part of my link tree. If you go to my website, actually, I'll put it up there. So there will be a link to their social media. But basically, the bottom line is, if you're in need of almost anything, whether it be emotional support, religious, if you're religious, like they have a prayer group. If you lost a family member, or you are sick or injured, if you're the officer or even the family member, these women are banded together. They're 800 plus strong and growing, and they're there to make you meals. I don't want to speak to the specifics of whether or not they'll provide transportation during COVID, but I think that that's something that they're willing to do. Just basically pick up where things might be falling apart in your life. If, like I said, if officer or a family member has become injured or sick or something to that effect, if you have somebody who dies, they're at least there to be someone to talk to. And the vice president, who I was directly in contact with recently, she's one of the sweetest ladies in the world. And if you get involved for any reason, you'll get to know her. I won't say anyone's names on the podcast without checking with them first, but they're really there to help. And I hope that ATL, in Atlanta, I'm sure your police departments probably all have something similar to it. And I'm just want to put that out there, that these people are available if you need anything.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of needs within a family, especially with a hurt, sick, or fallen officer. There's voids that need to be filled, and groups like that are great to help at least fill in some of the gaps for some time to help people get back on their feet. So I appreciate you plugging that, as well as your office number 3 candidacy. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to cover? What's the most outrageous thing that you've seen while on duty? And not with his preferred escorts there in California.
I'd say the toughest day on the job so far was probably last summer. We all went through it. All law enforcement across the nation went through the protests, and I was there at 3rd and Fairfax, the famous. I'm sure the nation probably saw LA's. It probably looked like half of our fleet of black and whites, but it was only, I think, 3 or 4 on fire. That was an intense day. Probably the most outrageous thing I saw. But a funny story about that.
Do tell.
So when the dust sorry, I know we're hitting our time limit, but
no,
when the dust finally kind of settled that day, we got kind of dispersed off of the line to go and just kind of block off the area. And a young lady came up to me and she says, I need to get to my car. I was like, okay, well, this area is blocked off. She says, well, yeah, I need to get to my car. And I'm like, okay, well, where is your car? Maybe I can help you get to it. It's on 3rd and Fairfax. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna get to your car today. What do you mean? But my dad's gonna be so mad at me. I was like, ooh, there's like a protest happening. She's literally got the, F the police sign in her hand. And she's like, but how am I going to get home? And I'm like, well, I don't know if you're aware, but there was a protest over there and some police cars got set on fire. So I think you're going to have to wait. Her whole world just fell apart. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was a bit ironic to have somebody who's got the, F the police poster asking me to help her get to her car next to the cop cars that are currently still smoldering. So,
right. Yeah. But in good chivalrous fashion, you still assisted in the best way you could.
I tried,
Yeah.
I'm sure she got home safe.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
Those are always funny. The road's blocked for whatever reason. And somebody said, but I need to go that way. I'm sorry, you can't go that way. The road's closed, but I got to get home. Okay. I would suggest going a different way or waiting however long it's going to take for us to clear the road. But I don't know any other way home. Well, how long have you lived here? And it's always like, I've lived here 5 years, 10 years, all my life. Really? And you don't know another way home? Like, there's connecting streets and cross streets and parallel streets, and nope, they can never ever go any other way but that way. Isn't that the case?
Yep. And they don't know how to use Google Maps either. Suddenly They can do everything on their phone except look that up. Well, it's there's a sense of urgency because they always left their gas burner on, or they left their baby at home or something insane like that. It's like, I think you've got some bigger issues here
Yes.
than if that's truly the case.
Better call your neighbor. But I don't know my neighbor.
But,
Oh, here we go again.
yeah.
All right. Well, Joe Massie, everybody, and joemassie.com, one of LAPD's finest. Thank you so much for being on the show today, being the very first inaugural guest at this new podcast. Look forward to having you on the show again if you'll come back on.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'd be happy to come back on someday, and good luck to you on your podcast. Podcasting is always, I'm a big fan of them, so I'm looking forward to seeing how yours grows.
I appreciate it. Yeah, well, again, we're reaching for episode 11, so maybe we'll bring you back for episode 11.
All right.
Awesome. All right, well, Joe, be safe. Take care. Thanks again for everything. One last plug, joemassie.com. Our sponsor is Raz Energy by Rep Sports, and repsports.com with coupon code PATRAZ for your 15%. You are awesome. Thank you, sir. Be safe. Take care.
All right. Thank you. You too. All right. Bye.
See ya.